Hello, and welcome to Together We Solve, the Power Couple podcast. And I'm one of your hosts, Kelly.
And I'm Derek Jones.
So today have a great show, right, Derek?
We have an unbelievable show. This is actually I consider this guy a personal friend of mine, Pat Dunn. I mean, he is one of these guys that we just have to get to know his story. I mean, he does a lot of different things, not only in the fitness area, but also in the community.
Well, before we start our show, we just want to let everybody know why do we do this podcast, Derek? I think it's really important for our audience to understand why we started our podcast and why do we like to help the community.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main reason why we started was one, because we're a couple, we're a powerful couple. But some of the main factors I would say would be we love helping others. We like helping people to solve problems, whether it's in business, whether it's in their personal life. It doesn't matter. That's what we're here for. So if you're tuning in and you want to listen to a show that real people, honest to God, daily life stories, this is what you're going to hear with Kelly and Derek on the Power Show.
Yeah, that's why we have our guest here. And again, Pat. See, I'm laughing because Pat, what do you do?
I'm a personal trainer and I own a gym in Bristol, Connecticut.
So as you know, this is Derek's friend, not mine.
Well,
Kelly doesn't work out.
I don't think
No.
everyone knows that you don't work out, Kelly. I'm
Now
glad
they
you divulged
know.
that.
I'm the cheerleader
So
on
if
the
you're just
side.
tuning in for the first time, Kelly does not work out, I guess.
Sorry, no, sorry, Pat.
That's all right. That's all right.
Well, tell us a little bit more about your business, Pat, and what brought you to get into fitness.
Sure. Yeah. So, my business has been open for almost 7 years now. And I think the main reason why I started my gym is I really just wanted to find a way to help people, in fitness. I know fitness did a lot for me. Growing up, I wasn't a super athletic kid. And I was always picked last in gym class, like always
Really?
just, yeah, always just,
So let's talk about that. Let's kind of go back to like was this already all the way back from middle school on? You were not into were you into sports at all, or did you like sports or?
No, so I actually I grew up as a super musical kid, so I actually played
Me
Oh,
too. What did
yeah.
you play?
so
I played
were you
the
like a
violin.
band? Were you like
Yeah.
a band geek?
Thank you, me. I played the clarinet.
Yep,
Okay.
Fantastic! I love this.
Yeah, so I played the violin from a young age, and honestly, I
The
did take
violin.
yeah, I took a lot of crap for that at a young age, but
I still love you, man. I
yeah,
still love you,
yeah.
man.
But no, growing up, I just got picked on a lot for my weight. Like I was overweight as a kid, everything like that, and fitness for me was a way out.
Right.
It was a way to better myself. And so when I started my business, my goal was to share that with other people, and show people what it could do for them.
Okay. So, I mean, you said I understand because I was a band geek too, right? And you got picked up for that, picked on for that. And I just want our audience to understand, like, if there's kids out there that are experiencing any of the bullying, like, how did it feel when those things were happening to you as a child?
And what age did you
Hmm.
where you started getting picked on?
I mean, it was probably young. I mean, I think most of my childhood, like I had a hard time like making friends and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I mean, probably, maybe like 5, 6, maybe
Five,
maybe
six.
even
So early on.
maybe yeah, probably
Yeah.
yeah, early on, maybe even I don't know, maybe 7, somewhere around there. But yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. I mean, I think it's tough, and I mean, I think like for me, the reason why I chose to get into fitness is like I don't know, it was always like something that I knew I could count on, something that made me stronger, something that made me a better person, something that I knew that I could lean back on, if that makes sense.
Right, no, yes.
Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
know and because it's difficult, it's difficult to go through tough things, and I feel like having something that can be like almost a lifeline is good,
And when did that happen? When did you realize like fitness was the thing to like, is there a moment that something happened in your life and then you decided to get into fitness?
yeah. So I was getting into like middle school, and my summer of 8th grade into freshman year, my dad like comes into my room and he's like, "Hey, I found this used Bowflex on
The
Craigslist."
Bowflex.
I remember when
I remember
hey, what the
Bowflex.
Bowflex was really
It was very popular.
It was popular.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
it was.
Yeah, and so we got that, and I just remember my like summer into freshman year of high school, I just spent 3 days a week doing my little routine in the garage,
Right.
and
In the
then
garage.
yeah, never look back.
All
So
right. All right. So I mean, but I think that's what our audience needs to understand. Like you can find something, like if you're going through something bad at life, and but there's always a way out. And it's just finding what is that thing. Like with Derek at one point, you stopped drinking and
Hmm.
running,
Hmm.
and that's why he is into fitness. Running was your way out to deal with that, right?
Yeah, so running was my way out. It just gave me a sense of belonging also, right? Because I didn't have that type of upbringing where I had the belonging. So I didn't get picked on. I actually had the opposite. I picked on people because I used to get beat by my mother. So I used to take it out on other kids when I went to school. I was always getting suspended in the penalty box. But you don't have to do that. And that's what I'm trying to tell people. That's why one of the reasons why we started this show is to let people know you can grow from there. You don't have to be that person that just because something happens to you, you start to do it to others. Or you don't want to be like someone like Pat, me picking on someone like Pat because I'm having a bad day. So just realize just because you're having a bad day or something happened to you, don't take it out on others. And fitness to me is like a lifesaver, whether it's lifting weights. Now I started lifting weights late in my life, 45 years old. But 8, 9 years ago, I started becoming an avid runner, and that just tremendously helped me with, overcoming alcoholism now for the last 12 years, and I haven't turned back myself. So, Pat, let's just go back. So, you were getting bullied, you got into fitness, you had the Bowflex, right? So, with that being said, were you always consistent after that with your working out, or did you fluctuate?
I mean, I would say 90% of my life, I since then I've been consistent. There was only a very small period of time where I
Okay.
was I was kind of stuck in a job that I didn't really like, that I kind of like went downhill for a period of time. But I would say since then, yeah, it's been very consistent, a big
Interesting.
part of my life.
And can you tell people what kind of mindset did you have after being bullied? Then you started being consistent with working out. What kind of mindset do you have? Any steps somebody could take to, kind of keep that consistency? Even me at times I would struggle. We got a little bit busy. That's why I came back into fitness, right? Kelly got me a membership to your gym. And now, like I said, we're more like friends than just, gym
Yeah,
partners. So
yeah.
that's what one thing I like about your gym. But can you kind of relate and just say to other people that they can get out of the rut and they can still be consistent? Any tips that you would give them?
Yeah, I mean, I think because I have this conversation with people all the time, because like it's very common to like go through periods where you are active, you are taking care of yourself, and then periods where maybe you're
Right.
not because like life gets busy or work gets busier or something, new project. I always tell people that like when that busyness ends, you're gonna wish that you kept doing it. You're gonna
I
wish that you
agree.
kept doing
I
the thing.
agree.
You're
Yeah.
not you're never gonna regret like
Yeah.
exercising,
Right. True.
but you might regret not doing it.
I agree.
And when you got, okay, so now you're in your garage on the now you got me gonna say your own Bowflex.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
say it. Okay.
Because it made me laugh. I had that because I remember the commercials.
I know
And
the
it's like,
commercial. I
who
know.
doesn't? I'm sorry. Who doesn't remember the commercial for
Yeah. It was a
Bowflex?
big, it was a big,
I
big
mean, it's
thing.
cool that
thing.
you had one and you had the violin next to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
I just can't.
do a couple sets.
You
play
know,
a
when we go
couple
to the
songs.
gym,
Yeah.
I can't let this one go.
That's messed up.
Anyway, I'm
It's
sorry.
okay
Let's
to
just
be a
go. Yeah.
banky. All right. So
Yeah, I know
what
you're a
changed,
banky.
right? So you were going through this bullying, and now you started working out. So when you went to school, did that change? Did like the people around you start changing the way they were treating you?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, I think obviously, like as a society, like I think one of the things that we praise is physicality. At least for
Oh,
Right.
for men.
especially for males.
Yeah, especially for men.
Oh,
So I mean, definitely getting more in shape and putting more. But I mean, getting more in shape, I think definitely changed the way that people treated me. But I think that could be true of anything that you put a lot of effort into
Mhm.
because it builds confidence within yourself.
confidence. I was
Right.
just gonna say.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I mean, maybe it was the fact that okay, I was in better shape, or maybe it was the fact that I just felt better about who I was.
Right.
Could have
No,
been
that
both.
makes perfect sense because if you're feeling down about yourself and you're out in public, the way you carry yourself is going to be different than if you're a confident person and how you talk to people, like and the energy, like what you give out, you're going to get back. So if
Oh
you're
yeah.
a negative person and you're wondering why is everything just never working out, because if you're always stuck in that thought process, it's never going to get better. Like you have to shift your mindset, and I think that's what people need to understand.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of people and a lot of people listening, if you're listening to the show, they think that they can't do it, right? They think they can't put the effort in. Do you have any advice, like, to anyone just trying to get started in fitness or just get started with better health in general? Like, what would be the first step?
I'm going to write these down
Yeah.
Like just a
for
simple step
myself.
somebody can take
Yeah.
mentally, not just physically. Like, because we know it's a lot of mental,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I think one of the biggest things, right? And I mean, I could trace it back, like when I started. I think, and not even just with fitness, but with anything, I think a big part of it is just having a support system of some kind.
Okay.
And I think part of the reason why I love what I do is a lot of people that come into my gym, they don't
Yes.
have a support system.
Yes,
Like
Right.
I
most
agree.
people don't have a healthy partner. They don't
I
have,
agree.
healthy family members that are spending a lot of time in the gym. So like that's what we get to be for people.
Yes.
But I think like having a support system is probably the most important thing when it comes to going after any goal. And so I think it comes down to like where can you find those people that will support you?
Right. I totally agree. I mean, there's definitely a difference in your gym. Kelly actually found a gym. I was looking at two different gyms. You were one of them, and then another gym. And the biggest difference between Pat's gym and the other gym, which I won't mention their name, was like a sense of belonging, kind of like I just said with the running.
Yeah.
And then very personable, more family orientated. And I think that's probably the reason why you're starting to grow even more so now than ever before. People are starting to catch on. They want more of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's what we really do aim to do for people
Right.
because again, like as I said before, it really does come down to having a strong support system because healthy behaviors are difficult.
Oh, it
I mean,
is.
they're not rewarded
No,
by like at least immediately. In the
no.
long term, yes,
Yeah.
but immediately definitely not.
They're
I know
not even
that
really,
brownie just
yeah,
really tastes good.
not
Sorry.
just that. I think even in society, right? Most people you see nowadays, wouldn't you agree, Kelly, are more negative than not, right? More complaining. A lot of people complain. They don't take a lot of ownership. So you don't see out in society that where people are like, hey, you did a good job. You did a great job. Other than certain people, like I say you're doing a great job. You may say you're doing a great job, but a lot of people are negative. Even in my workspace, it used to be that way, but now it's not. So it's good that to have people like you know, myself, Kelly, helping others, you know. So what can you give them? Let's say if they don't have money to come to a gym, what can they start with at home? Maybe what are some of the small things they can do mentally, whether it's food, whether it's some kind of exercise? Because there's people that are going to be watching this, Pat, that still don't know where to start for
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
support system. So you touched on the support system. So what are some ideas?
Well, I mean, I think especially for people that might struggle, right? Like maybe they don't have the means to hire a
Hmm.
trainer, right? I think one of the good things about a lot of places now, I mean, depending upon where you are, is you could find like a running club, right? And that might be something that's free. Like people just kind of meet up on the weekend, or
Hmm.
like a hiking club or something like that.
Right.
And you can find a lot of those around that don't cost any money. And I think that's kind of what I mean. It's more of like try to find a group of people that will actually like move
There you
you in
go.
a direction, you know?
Right.
Um, like even if let's say you joined like a big box gym for like $10 a month or something
Hmm.
like that, try to go around the same time, try to make friends with somebody in the gym that maybe knows what they're doing that could be a support system for you, you know.
Definitely a confidence builder, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people need that confidence builder. I know myself for certain areas of my life. If I didn't have that confidence in myself, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, Kelly. Even with you, let's talk about like what is it even like for a woman, like the confidence these days? Because a lot of women are being told they could be single, they can be on their own, um, and relationships don't have to prosper.
Well, I mean, we have social media, and then we have, the filters, and we have what the expectations of what a woman should look like or is supposed to look like. I mean, that's changed throughout the
There's
years.
no filter on you right now.
No. Well, listen, when I started modeling, and that was X amount years ago, I won't say my age. No, I'm proud of my age. I'll be 47. But like 20 years ago, when you looked at the models, they were very thin and tall, right? Like that's what you seen on the runway. And as the years went by, that started to shift and maybe have more curvy models and then more like we'll say like more realistic real people like someone that you'll just see working on the runways, right? And now we have all the social media, so now we go on social media, and social media is a liar, guys. Like
Hmm.
what you see there is not the truth. No one's posting their bad times unless that's what they want, that type of attention. But for as a parent myself, a mom would have two girls. I don't want them to look on social media and think that's a representation of what a woman is supposed to look like. I mean, we have women going through all surgery, BBLs, doing all this stuff to their bodies. And are you truly, really happy? Ask yourself that. I want every woman that's watching this to really just look in the mirror and say, like, why do you have to change? Are you changing for yourself, or are you changing for what you want others to see? Because, you know, me and Derek get into this all the time about I like wearing makeup. I mean, I grew up in a household where my grandmother was having an asthma attack, and during her asthma attack, while we wait for the ambulance, she's putting on makeup because she's like, why? Kelly. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God. And she's putting lipstick on because I have to look my best, right? Because that's just how she was raised. And I was in that household. So when I went to go do laundry, she said, Kelly, you better look good because you never know who you're going to run into. I was raised that way, just to look, have presentation, right? But then now we take it to the point where it's like, you can't be yourself. Like I was still myself. Like I could still, and meeting Derek, you know, he's like, could you take all the makeup off? I grew up as a model. I grew up always like walking out, that's your red carpet. You had to look a certain way. And it was hard for me to change that a little bit about myself because I wasn't used to that. You know, and Derek is like, I love you just without makeup, and I appreciate him for that. But this was me, the colorful hair. This is the makeup. That was part of my personality. But that was because I did it for myself. I think women really need to reflect, and when they're doing things, are they doing it for themselves or they're doing it for others? And when they go to the gym, the healthy that's to for yourself, for you to be healthy, for you to respect and build that confidence for yourself, and not to prove anything from anyone else. If you want to have surgery, fine, that's your choice, but it should be for yourself. I think that's lost. We do it because we want to post a picture on the gram or on on TikTok, make a video and showing our body off. But why? Why do we have to show our bodies off? We should just be happy with who we are.
Now, Pat, let me ask you: when a woman comes into your gym, is there a difference? Because I see a difference between men and women. What are they more focused on, and how do you help them as a client, rather than difference between a man and a woman when they come in? How do you speak to them? Because I know there's a difference in mindset, a little bit.
Um, well, I mean, I think obviously like they want. I mean, in some cases they obviously want different things. You know, obviously
Hmm.
men want one thing, women
Right.
want another. In a lot of cases, and I mean, over the years, my client base has been predominantly female. I'd say probably like 70% of the clients I've worked with have been female,
That's
about
true.
thirty
Yeah, I
percent
mean, you
male.
see when they're in the gym. Yeah.
Um, I think the biggest thing that I see with the women that I work with is like a lot of times no matter how much they achieve, there's like this pressure that they still have to go for more. You know, it's like I still have to achieve more. I still have to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to do
Mm-hmm.
this. And I think that as a coach, that's really difficult to see because
Yeah.
like I can have somebody that like is doing really well, and I don't think they know how well they're actually doing,
Right.
but they still like have all this pressure on them. And I think that that's probably a byproduct of obviously our society,
Hmm.
in general. But yeah, I would say that that's probably one of the main
It
things
is.
that
I
I
know. I
see.
noticed that. That's why I brought that up, and then I brought Kelly into the mix to talk about it because to me, there's a drastic difference. Like a lot of the men that come in to the gym, we don't complain as much. We joke around, but we try to get to work, and we try to. And then the women, a little more chatty. They still work extremely hard, but right, they're always nagging. Oh, I could do a little bit better. I can. We all say we could do a little bit better, right? Because we're all competitive, but definitely that little difference. So, how do you kind of coach through that? Like, what do you say to
Um,
get them over the hump?
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is kind of like reflecting on how far people have come. Like I
Okay.
think there's a coach that I really like admire and respect, and his name is Lane Norton. He's probably like one of the I'd say probably top five coaches in the nutrition industry,
Oh, okay.
and he talks about having accountability and empathy.
Yes.
So like obviously you have to keep people accountable to their goals
Mm-hmm.
because
Yes.
like
Otherwise, they're not going to
that's
meet your goal.
exactly well
Yeah.
that's what they're there for. They want somebody to help keep them accountable.
Right.
But on the other hand, you also have to have that soft touch of like, hey, you're
Hmm.
actually doing a really good job. It may not seem like that right now, but you've been doing really good, and look at how far you've come over this time period.
Yeah, I think laying it out like that makes a lot of sense for people out there. So even if you're at home, you're looking to try to better yourself, just make sure you take small steps and look at what you've already accomplished. I think we always forget that we accomplish things and we don't sit in the moment. I know one of the people sometimes I accomplish something, I don't sit in the moment, but I've challenged myself. I know Kelly's challenged herself to sit in that moment just
Oh
for a
yeah.
little bit, right?
He never sat in the moment. We're at a
No,
race. He
yeah,
won.
yeah,
And then it's like 2 seconds later, he's ready for the next race, not living in that moment of
yeah.
like what if he PR'd at the race? It was just like, okay, I did that, but now I gotta set another goal. And I'm like, can we just like live in this moment? You've really been training for months.
Hmm.
We're here, live in that moment. But Pat, let me ask you. So you went from working out for yourself, and when did it switch to now helping others? Like I know you owned a gym, and I'm not sure how long you had the gym, and this is your first gym. But when did you start training other people? When did that when that switch came?
Yeah. So I mean, I've been a certified trainer for it'll be 10 years in August.
Oh wow.
Oh,
So it's been
nice!
Okay.
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah. So it's been about a decade. But I mean, even before that, like I remember, like when I was in high school, I'd have friends that like they had questions about working out, and I'd take them to the gym and work out with
Hmm.
them. Like I had a buddy of mine from high school. We'd go to Planet Fitness together when we, in our senior year and stuff, and I'd
Mm.
help him with his stuff, and then even in college and stuff like that. So I mean, it's been a long time. I mean,
Oh,
figure I'll be 32 in August, so
still young.
yeah, it's been what, like 15, maybe 15 years now. So
Nice.
Oh
it's been a long
wow.
time.
Wow. And when did you open your first gym? Is this your first
So
gym?
this is my first gym. Yeah, so we
Nice.
opened
Okay.
in 2018. Yeah, 2018, August 2018.
Okay. Now, I mean, can you think back of like we're saying like any of your clients that really like you really seen a transformation in and it was just like helping being that empathetic side to get them motivated to keep them going?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a decent amount of clients that I've worked with over the years that have lost, significant amounts of weight. And I think one of the toughest parts about people that go through like a whole body transformation like that is a lot of times people will lose a lot of weight, but they still look at themselves as they were.
Mm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think that kind of comes down
Interesting.
to what you're talking about in
Hmm.
like the mental shift, right? Like you can lose as much weight as you want, but if you don't change the way that you think about yourself and look at yourself and talk to yourself, things don't really get any better.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge component into what we speak to people about consistently. Um, if you don't look at yourself in the mirror, not just in the mirror, I mean, literally take a look at what you've accomplished. Take a look at how you're also inspiring others by what you're accomplishing. I never even understood that myself. People would say, "Oh my God, Derek, you lost a lot of weight." The first time I did it,
Yeah.
10 years ago. Well, maybe it's 9 now, and they're like, "Oh my God, you lost a lot of weight." I mean, yeah, so what? Again, not living in that moment. But now I'm like, yeah, I lost a lot of weight. I know how to do it. I love doing it. I was also teaching people too. Like, this is how you lose weight. This is how you run. So we have a lot of that in common. Kelly has a lot of that in common. Where even though we didn't have our own business right away, right? I was always helping people, whether it's at work, outside of work. So same thing. Can we talk a little bit about were there any fears to starting your first business? Because there might be some people out there that want to start a business, and do you give them any pointers on how they would if it could be a gym, it could be anything, but were there any fears at all start going into business? I'm sure there were.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the past 7 years of my life have been extremely uncomfortable from
Yeah,
all
yeah.
from all
Let's
all
talk
angles.
about
Yeah,
that, right? No, let's dig in on that because we have a small business, right? We did clothing and we have a nonprofit, so let's dig in on that a little bit and talk about that.
yeah. I mean, I think that starting a business in general is really scary because
It
there's
is.
no. And I mean, to be fair, there's no guarantees in life in general,
Right,
but like
Hmm.
there are no guarantees. Like
right,
with business,
right,
it's sink or swim.
right.
You
Right.
either make it or you don't. And I mean, if you look at the statistics on small business,
Was it
ninety
five
percent of them.
5 years they fail?
Yeah, most of them fail within 5 years, and
Yeah.
I think it's like 90% of businesses close within the first. I want to say like it might be 5 years, but I thought it was the first decade, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so
Wow.
the statistic I saw was within I think 90% in the first 5 years fail.
Yeah, so
So
maybe it's 95% in 10 years then.
yeah,
So
probably. Yep.
only 5%
We're
of
right
businesses
around
fail.
in that same range where most small businesses, and that's why it's very important to support your small businesses, just like watching this podcast, like going to Patch Gym, just like donating to nonprofits such as ours or Nutmeg. It's extremely important because you get to talk to individuals on a personal level and get to know people more intimate. And I think I like it more. I mean, you do need big businesses also, but you also need that small business to really touch people's lives. Wouldn't you say, Kelly? That's
Yeah,
a
I
big
agree.
deal.
I mean, if what do they say, like the grassroots, like
Yeah,
we're a smaller nonprofit, but we're out there, we're hands on,
blood,
and
sweat,
it means a
tears.
lot. It means a lot to us because our nonprofit was started because of our life experiences and what we've been through, and that's why we want to help the homeless and help the youth and things of that nature. Because there's a time I was living out of my suitcase, or he was hopping from shelter to shelter, hotels, and we empathize with people, and I think people just need to see people within their community and see that they can change. It's not like,
Right.
I get it, Beyonce's, the Jay-Z's, the basketball players, we look online, this is what we see, this is who we look up to, but we should look up to the people like yourself, Pat, in the community, right? If my goal right now, and I'm going to say it on camera, is to join Pat's gym. I'm gonna say it, and you got me on tape. But I look up to you when you're saying that, and even to Derek when I see, he'll slip up and then he'll get back up and he'll continue. And the motivation that it takes and the mindset that you have to have. I mean, he doesn't feel well, he is tired, but he's putting on the socks and changing his clothes. He worked all day, but he's saying, I'm going to the gym. I mean, just that alone takes strength, is mental strength. It's not even about the physical
Oh,
strength.
it's
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 mentally, you have to prepare yourself for that.
yeah. Let's touch on that, right? The mental aspect of this, because I think it's even for me personally, and I think most people, if you're out there listening, I think that's the biggest hurdle. Like
Oh, yeah.
just taking the first step, getting out the door and saying, I'm not going to make an excuse and I'm just going to go work out, or I'm just going to start that business, or I'm going to speak in front of the whole crowd, whatever it may be, right? Or I'm going to become a leader at my job, or whatever the case may be. Just take that first step and compose yourself and really think about what you want to accomplish in life. Not just writing the goals down, but taking those steps forward, actionable steps. Look at yourself, reflect back in the mirror and say, can I do this? And you can. You absolutely can. Anyone can do it. It doesn't matter where you're at, what level you're at. Even if you can't even run at this point, you can still walk, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think like exactly like what you said, it does come down to taking the first step.
Yeah.
So like I think like there's always going to be a level of fear associated with anything that's
Hmm.
outside of your comfort zone.
Oh yeah.
But I see so many people like they get stuck in this paralysis by analysis where
Hmm.
it's like I want to start a business or I want to do this and then they never actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. The first thing you have to do is just walk out the door. Like put
Now,
the running shoes on.
like, what did you do to start the business? Were there like plans? Did you talk to different people? Because a lot of people always are like, how do I get it started? Like Kelly and I will touch on it too, but like, how do you get it started? What was your, did you Google? What are, just give some people some ideas. Like, how, how did you build this gym now that's growing like crazy in Bristol?
Yeah, I mean I think so one of the things is opening the gym kind of fell into my lap, right?
Okay.
So the reason why I say that is I always wanted to do it. Like it was always something on my list of, hey, I
Okay.
want to own a gym someday. One of my friends, I ran into him at a bar and he had said to me, he said, hey, across the street I have a space that I'm looking to sublet. Are you thinking about starting a business? And I
Okay.
said, yeah, actually I am. And he
Right
walked
time,
over,
huh?
showed me the space, and I thought about it and I was like, yeah, maybe it's something that I'll do. And then, a couple months went by and he reached out to me again and he said, hey, I think the garage space in the back would be perfect for you. And this was in Southington. So this was like the first location ever
Oh,
in
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Southington. Um, and I took a look at it and I said, yeah, we're just going to do it. And I'll be honest with you, like I knew absolutely nothing about business when I started.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
Let's
people.
touch on that
There's
because
a lot of people that don't know
like
about business.
we didn't know anything about our first business was the clothing business,
We
and
had
then
no clue.
yeah, we had to do a lot of research,
Yeah.
um, and there wasn't a lot of people in our area that was like willing to help us, so we did it on our own.
Yeah.
Right? So did you have a support system helping you to at least get you started, or was a lot of it on your own?
So, I mean, I think one thing that I've been very fortunate with is I've always found a way to connect myself with people that knew more than I did. So
So
when I
that's
was,
important.
yeah, 100%. Well, like when I was new in business, I ended up running into this guy that he ran an advertising agency,
Okay.
and he got me like my first batch of like 10 clients that
Oh, nice,
that I didn't bring with me, and so
nice.
that got a little bit more of
Mm-hmm.
the word out. And then when I ended up moving spaces and moving to Bristol, I aligned myself with somebody that was like a massage therapist, and they ended up connecting with a whole nother group of clients. And then, I just met more and more people throughout the community that just kind of helped my business grow. And so over the years of being able to find like these mentors and these helpers has really been helpful. So I think a lot of it does come down with trying to find people that, like, even if they aren't necessarily supporters, are people that can be in your corner.
So I like that a lot because if you don't know how to start a business, if you're really good at being personal with people and you know people in your circle that know more than you, reach out to them. I think that's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
Definitely connect with as many people as you can that are either smarter than you in certain areas or just have more resources that are willing to share knowledge. And I think that's really important. That's a great tip, actually. Speak to people in your circle, right? I mean, you hear it all the time. You are what is in your circle, too, right? So if
Yeah.
you're around people, you're hanging out there drinking, smoking, they're not doing the right things or they're negative all the time, you're not going to find these opportunities. And then you're always going to be wondering why I can't do something. Well, you're going to have to look at yourself and say, hey, what kind of friends am I around, right? What kind of people am I hanging around, right, Kelly? I think that's a big step
Well,
going
that's
forward.
also a step, and also for the people that are like that mentor you, that have businesses out there, they have to be willing to support and help. I mean, there's a place for everyone, and
Yeah,
I think people need to know that. And the only way we're going to make it work as a community is helping one another.
I
And some
agree.
people shy away. They have their business and they're successful, and then someone else has a similar business, or even just they're in business and they don't want to tell them, they don't want to share the information because they
Sure, yeah.
feel, I don't know, threatened or whatever the case may be. And it's like, but why? Like, there's room for everyone to shine. And I think people need to understand that. Like, I get gratification of helping others, right? It doesn't matter what they need or where I'm at. If I can help uplift them and help them move up, if they have that drive, I'm gonna be there with them. But unfortunately, not everyone is like that. So it's great that you found people that were supportive. I mean, me and Derek, we've been doing this for
Uh,
3 4
3 years,
years.
3 years,
Yeah, it
3
seems
years.
longer, because we were doing this just as an everyday thing. But when we really sat down and said, okay, if you're really going to go out there and help people, we were like, okay, well, we're going to figure it out, like trial and error, right? And we're just going to try to find people that's going to help, and if they don't want to help, we're going to keep pushing through. And that's just been our motto ever since. So no matter what, if you're out there and you're trying to start a business, or you're contemplating something, to do something new, sometimes we have that fear of actually being successful, right? So it's not even a failure, it's actually succeeding, because you're like, I don't even know what I'm going to do if I do succeed.
Yeah.
But don't be scared, just take that first step
Yeah.
and just take that initiative and try. I never want to look back and regret that I didn't at least try something. And if I fail, it's okay. Just move on and find something new to do. It's okay to fail, but just learn from what you failed. What did you do wrong? And then try to correct that. And I think people need to understand that.
Yeah, 100%. Because the fear of failure is less painful than the fear of regret.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is.
Oh,
By
yeah.
far. And if people don't know where to start, I know for us, we didn't really know know where to start. But I tell you this, nowadays there really no excuse. You have so much information on the internet.
Yeah.
Like that's how I love to Google. I love to do research. I do a ton of research. Same thing when we did our 5K race. I ran probably 20 races, so I set the race up exactly how I wanted it.
Yeah.
Right. So Kelly had a background in you know organizing events, so she has
I
some
thought you were
knowledge in
gonna
that
say
area.
running. I was gonna say you're
so,
lying.
so she has knowledge in that area. I have a background in managing people, right, for a very long time over the past 20 years. So Kelly also. So we took our two strengths. So we had one another, plus we have strengths. She's really good on the back end. I'm really good at doing the research, figuring out where we're going to go. So we were able to draw from that, right? And then some people in the community helped, and some people, started building with us, right? So that helps. But first thing I think you need to do is come up with a kind of plan. You need to be dedicated to that plan too. Right? Wouldn't you agree? Like, what kind of steps did you take? Did you have to actually write it out, or I'm sure you did, right? You wrote out a business plan, or let's say somebody doesn't have a business plan, but what are some of the steps you took for that, like building the business out?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that that's grown a lot over the years. When I started, I mean, as I said, I didn't really know anything about business.
Right.
So my first business plan was very archaic.
I'm
you
sure.
know?
Most are. Yeah, ours not. No better.
It was just, what's the equipment I need?
Right.
How much is the space
Right.
going to
That's
be?
smart. Yeah.
Like how much money do I need to have set aside just to survive?
But that's a start because a lot of people don't
Don't
even
even
know
get
how
to
to
that
get
point,
to
right?
that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
So I mean, there was a start with that. And then I think as I evolved in business, like this year, when I sat down and made my business plan for 2025, I sat down and figured out, all right, how many members do we need to get this year to hit our targets? How much time do I need to spend on social media? How much time do I need to spend doing this, growing my team? So like it was definitely a little bit more in depth. But I think you learn those things through failure. And
I
I
agree.
think a
I
lot of
agree.
people are too afraid to
To
fail, so
fail,
they never start.
right? So they never
I
start.
mean,
Exactly.
even Michael Jordan said it, right? My favorite basketball player of all time.
Yeah.
I think he's the greatest basketball player. I think it's not up for debate.
Uh
But
oh.
with that being said, some people like LeBron. I mean, one of his quotes is he missed 3,000 shots, and every shot he missed was a learning experience,
Yeah.
right? So I think just keeping on. Is it really truly a failure? It is if you stop, but it's not a failure if you continue to follow through, right? Whether it's exercise, whether it's business, whether it's eating right, whether it's your personality, whether it's treating people well, whatever the case may be. If I stopped along the way, I wouldn't be here, right? I wouldn't be here talking to you. I wouldn't be working out. I'd probably be an alcoholic. I'd be dead, just like my brother passed away 3 years ago. So if you look at life like that, life can always be woe is me, or it can be glass half full. And that's how I tend to look at life. And I think most people, if they start looking at life like that, Pat, wouldn't you agree? I think it starts to shift, right? And they can start to do and accomplish a lot more different things in their life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, making that shift I think is very difficult because I'll be honest with you, by nature, this was something that I dealt with many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was a very negative person, and it was something
Really
that I had to.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you're definitely not, you don't come across negative at all. You're very positive, very upbeat, especially in the gym. You crack jokes. It's a great atmosphere. So how did you get out of that?
Well, I think the first thing is recognizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to
I
know
agree.
that you have a problem.
I
Like
agree.
if you don't know, then you
I
can't do
agree.
anything about it.
Yeah, like until I said I was an alcoholic,
Oh,
it was a
right.
start.
That's that.
That's
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
I think step one is obviously knowing you have a problem, but then I think step two is figuring out how to solve it. So there's been a lot of books that I've read over the years. One of my favorite books, actually, which oddly enough resurfaced in my life recently, is called "What to Say When You Talk to Yourself," and
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's by it's by Shad Helmstetter. I think that's his name. He's a psychologist, and it basically talks about how our inner dialogue really does shape our reality.
Interesting.
And I read this book a long time ago, and I actually gave it to one of my clients,
Yeah,
and
interesting.
his wife Sandy at the gym. She actually recently started working for me recently, and she brought my copy back to the gym, and it's sitting on my desk right now. So it's funny.
Interesting, because we talk about books in YouTube, and I talk about this all the time. So a book I'm reading right now, most people are aware of, is 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
Right. So again, it's about mindset. It's about how you speak to different people, how you are in a crowd, and how you can control the crowd without actually being the leader. Right. You can be a leader in different. So it's 48 different laws of power, and it goes through a gamut of different things. Right. So I like to read a lot of different books like that. So I think those are very helpful. YouTube too. I think who you're following on YouTube, who you're following on social media, what you're watching, what you're taking in controls what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting there listening to the news all the time, you're probably going to be negative. I turn the news on for the weather, and that's about it, right? And I move forward. I try to keep people in my contacts um, that are definitely more motivating than not, right? Same thing with people at work. I try to pay it back forward. So Kelly, is there anything you do too? Like listen to, I know music, you're big into music because some
Well,
people are
yeah.
big into
Well, I mean, I was a band geek for God's sake. So music was my thing. I grew up with music. My mother sang. So music always changes my whole mindset. So if I'm in a bad mood, immediately my thing is I'm just going to put the headphones and just listen to music to shift, to start that shift. Um, I just feel that talking to yourself, and my kids laugh at me
Mm-hmm.
all the time because they're like, what did you say? I said, no, I'm just talking to myself, because it's just like talking myself through something and telling myself, and it is that inner dialogue. Because if you're telling yourself, and they say you go to the mirror and you kind of talk to yourself, and if you're saying negative things all day to yourself, I can't do this is this that, that's how you're going to carry yourself all day. But if I try to wake up in the morning, and even if I know it's going to be a rough day, I try to set myself up for a more positive day, and is what I'm telling myself. If I wake up saying, okay, this day is going to be crappy,
Yeah,
then my day is going to be crappy.
that's
I tell
true.
my staff that all the time too. I'm like, okay, we came in here, and if I feel sick, I try to make myself look better, because I'm just trying to make myself feel better, because I don't want to carry that around with me all day. So it is that inner dialogue that you have to keep telling yourself and it's difficult for people, because depending on your surroundings as well, if you're in an environment that's negative, If all you see is negative people around you, like it's hard to keep trying to tell yourself to be positive. So sometimes we need to reflect. You need to reflect on the people that you are around and see, because sometimes those people, like misery likes company, and I've had a lot of people that they wanted me to be
Oh,
miserable because
that's a
that's
big
who they were,
factor.
and sometimes you have to let go of people that are very close to you, but they don't have their best interests in you. They want you to stay stuck with them in that misery, and you got to learn to let that go. And it's a scary thing to let go of things. Like when I picked up and moved to Connecticut, and I left everything in New York, I left also people behind that kept me in that negativity and that drinking and that environment. And it wasn't easy because I mean there was people that I knew for years, and it was scary because this is like, okay, well, these are the people I always depended on, and now I don't know why I depended, right, why I'm depending on people that are being negative, but I depended on them, and I had to change that, and I had to let that all go and go around people that were more positive. But it takes a lot for someone to do that, and that's again having that inner dialogue. Believe me, I had that inner dialogue for a lot
Mhm.
before I packed up and just you hold my butt over here, because I had to tell myself I was going to be okay. So it's trusting yourself and knowing that you can make it through no matter what is put in front of you.
So Pat, can we touch on where you're at now in your life, and how do you continue to stay positive? How do you continue to grow? Because the gym is growing, and let people know what the name of your gym is. And
Yeah, so the name of my gym is Infinite Fitness. It's in Bristol, Connecticut. And yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question, right? Like, what do we actually do to stay positive?
Mhm.
Because I mean, growing a business is difficult, and I think one of the difficult parts,
Extremely difficult.
yeah, and one of the difficult parts about growing a business is that the bigger it gets, it's almost like the more new challenges that you
Mm-hmm.
face, you know? And I think for me, I mean, there's been plenty of times where I've thought about like, yeah, just wash my hands
Yeah.
of this, go get a nine to
Makes it
Everybody.
five.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna cut back to you. So we talk about this sometimes. Like, we have a good life, we do well, we have great jobs. We don't have to do this, right? So I can relate. We can relate with you.
Yeah, and I think for me, I think one of the things that keeps me going is like knowing that I would always wonder what would have happened had I
I
not.
love it.
You
I
know,
love it.
Right, is
it's
that wondering, is
But
that you don't want to regret later on, like
yeah,
I could have at least saw it through completely.
yeah,
Like you just, when you end something, when you're trying to do something and okay, this is time, like I gave it my 150%. Okay, I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay that if it didn't work, I'm okay to end it right now. But if you try to do that months before that decision is made, just that unknown, oh, that's like a deep hole in your
yeah,
soul, just
yeah.
not to know.
the other aspect I see, because I'm in your gym, right? I think it's more than that with you personally. This is what I see from the outside looking in. Is like it's truly like personal. Like you take it, like you really want to help people. You give back to the community too. You do fundraising. You donated to our 5K race and a lot of other things. So I think it's more than that. I think that's also a reason, not to put words in your own mouth, but I see that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think from a non-personal standpoint, right? Like, I think the main reason why I started my gym in the first place was like I was working for a big box gym,
Mm.
and I just saw that like the people that were coming to the gym that I worked at just weren't getting the treatment and the
Right.
service that they should be getting.
Huge deal.
And so that
Hmm.
was kind of what started this whole idea of like, all right, I think I could do this better. Like I think that I could create a place where people are welcome. And that is another thing too. You know, one of
Yeah.
my clients the other day, she did a chin up for the first time. And this woman,
That's crazy.
her whole
Yeah.
life, she's been, like just not healthy, out of shape. She's down like 30, 40 pounds since she
Awesome.
started working with us. And she cried after she got her first chin up.
Awesome.
And she was like, I never in my life did I think that I'd be able to do that.
And I'm sure that made you feel amazing, right? Because I know when that happens to me, either it's at work or helping people, or we're helping people out in the community. Like sometimes I just feel like elated. I get excited. I really do. So I'm sure you must felt just as happy for her as she felt for herself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's definitely like I think fitness is it's a difficult business to be in because a lot of people don't prioritize it,
No,
but it
not
is
in the United States.
yeah, no, 100%. But it's extremely rewarding when you do have those people that stick with it and
Hmm.
really go after their goals.
And I think fitness is amazing because it scientifically it changes your whole chemistry, your whole body chemistry.
Yeah.
The endorphins, it changes your confidence, but it changes you inward. more so than just outwards. And I think that's the biggest thing people need to understand is really focusing on their inward and then their outward, whether it's being stronger, especially men, they always want to get bigger, or especially if a guy comes in, he's smaller, a little scrawny or whatever, he starts to gain a little muscle mass. They start to look at themselves a little bit different, right? So I think going forward, with us in the community, just keep pushing, letting people know they can become more, letting people know that there's an outlet, right? Gyms, there's an outlet through running, there's an outlet through eating better, like just taking better care of yourself. And then if you want to start building on a business, right? You want to start a business of your own, whether it's online, whether it's YouTube, whether it's a podcast, you can do it. But you really got to focus on those small things first and then start building. But anyone can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just stick through, right? Stick to it. So, like what are some of the things that I see in the gym with you is that you really spend equal amount of time, you try to, even though you have a lot of clients, with each individual. So whether it's somebody's doing a deadlift, you'll talk about technique, you'll be there, and then you'll be over speaking to, 3 or 4 other people. So what are I guess what allows you to do that? Like get around to the gym, be so personable with everyone.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things that sets us apart is we just really care about the people that come to the door. I mean, everybody that comes into my business is, their family. You know what I mean? It becomes personal to us to help them. And I think that that's why it's easy to spend time with lots of different personalities and maybe like people that in the outside world maybe I would not have gotten along with this person, but it becomes easier when you have common ground on something.
No, I totally agree with that. So, I mean, where do you see this gym going? Well, I mean, do you see it spanning past Bristol? Do you just getting another spot? What's the
Yes, I mean we definitely want to move. We're probably going to move locations probably within the next year, get us something a little bit bigger. And once we fill out that location, I mean definitely a possibility of another one.
Nice.
But one step at a time.
Nice. I know. I'm not trying to rush you. So, and any goals, any fitness personal goals yourself you have coming up?
Yeah, I have a few things that I'm working towards right now. I'm trying to break the drug tested USPA state deadlift record. So I want to do that within the next probably like 6 months or so.
So what does that
What
look
is
like
that?
for people? Yeah, people don't.
So the current deadlift record is 617 pounds
Okay, and what weight is that for
for
body weight?
one,
For body weight.
198 pounds.
198. Yeah. So that's the deadlift, guys.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one thing I could do well.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
So
617 pounds?
Yeah, that's the current record. So I'd have to get 620 to beat it. So that's the goal.
yeah, it's a
Okay.
lot of weight to move. I just did in the gym 420. That was in under a year or something.
Yeah.
So it can be done.
Yeah, yeah,
So
100%.
maybe one day I'll be challenging you on that.
That's right.
600. I'm just saying, Pat. I'm pretty competitive. I think I could get there.
You could challenge me on the deadlift. I'll challenge you at the 5K pace.
Yeah.
Oh, there we
5K
go.
pace.
You heard it today.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
Now, not getting down to 19-minute 5K. So that was one of my goals, and I didn't celebrate it. I'm a little mad because I did it within 2 years at the age of 38. I started running at the age of 36. Before that, I didn't run. I played football, but I didn't run. I wasn't a mid-distance runner, a long-distance runner. And I regret that. So make sure you celebrate your wins. I talk about it all the time. So
Exactly.
even you, Pat, make sure you celebrate your win when you break that 600 mark, 619 or 617, whatever it is. Make sure you celebrate it. Do you celebrate your wins?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something I got to be better about, and I think that kind of comes with having a more type A personality that you just want the next thing.
I'm glad you admitted to that. I was trying to get you to admit to that. Thanks for being honest.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to push you to do. Celebrate it too more. I do now. Like we just well, I'll announce that later. But we just had something big happen, and I celebrated it. We celebrated it, and we'll talk about it later on another show. But now I take it more in. I step back and I say, "Wow, this is a great accomplishment." So if you go to the next gym, that's a great accomplishment.
Yeah.
Growing, seeing the atmosphere. Bristol needs it. A lot of people need it. We need more people like you. Need more people like us, just helping the community, whether it's through fitness. But I think it's about caring about people, and I think that's the biggest part. Is really the family atmosphere in your gym is what drew me to the gym and what continues to help me go back. right? So it's not about strength. I'll hit my goal, 500, 300 bench in a year and a half, but that's not what's going to stop, right? I'm going to keep coming back because I like the atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be
So,
there soon.
so what else do you want to reflect on? Like family life? Are you married? Are you in a relationship, or what's
Yeah.
that?
So, long-term relationship. We've been together for a little over 2 years now. And she's great. I mean, she works at the gym too. So
I know her too, right?
Um, no, but she's great. She's probably, again, one of my biggest support systems in my life, which I'm really thankful for. Yeah, and it's just great to have her in my corner.
So we celebrated our win.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to announce that just yet on this podcast, but his girlfriend actually served us at the restaurant that she worked.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I kind of segued into that. So we did celebrate, right? So
Yeah.
we took
awesome.
back, we
And
celebrated.
it's great that you have a partner that supports. I mean, that's
It's a
that's what
great
our
thing.
the power couple, right? People need to understand that, especially women, right? We have this independent. We could do it all alone.
Well,
I mean,
society's
I
saying that.
can, but why would I want to when I could have somebody else the same as me to help, and it builds it stronger. So you have her there with you, and that's going to build a stronger future than you having to do it alone. So it's okay to be in a relationship, and if that person is your support system, you're supporting each other. That's what we need right now. We need that family unit back. We need that togetherness. And then I mean, nothing to stop me and Derek because we're doing this together. We did it alone for a long time before we met, but us together is unstoppable because we share the same passion and we want to do it for ourselves and for our community.
Yeah, and I love that. She comes into the gym. She brings a little different tune into the gym, which is great. And it's like you see you guys working together, right? And she's over here helping one client, over there helping another client, and I love to see that because this is what Kelly and I do, and that's another thing. It just gives people another look at how relationships can still work together.
Yeah.
You can work together, and you can still prosper.
Oh yeah,
I think a lot of people during COVID, a lot of people broke up, their marriages or their relationships broke up. Ours grew stronger, which is crazy. Even at where I'm in certain areas where people talk about, man, how could you be around your significant other all the time? I mean, I love being around Kelly. You know what I mean? Why would I look at it any different? She's my best friend. She's my lover and more, right? So I think if you can grow that, you can grow stronger, and you can help more and more people too succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. Aligning, because I mean, I don't know. I think it's true of anything that you can accomplish more with a group of people than you can with just a
I
singular
totally
person.
agree.
Of course. I mean, it just is. You make a stronger impact.
Yeah.
And whatever I don't think of, he would think of, and vice versa. So we're like that yin and that yang, and it's like, okay, so if I'm feeling down one day, he's my motivator to bring me up, and the same, right? He was feeling down, and he was going, and I said, okay, time to join the gym because he wanted to get motivated. Now I can't motivate him physically, obviously. So I sent it to you, Pat, and you're doing a great job because Kelly can't do it. But I mean, and it's a team effort, and that's the beauty on it. If you have somebody there that you can lean on, that is going to be with you through when times are rough, and celebrate the good and the bad. I mean, I can't ask for anything more than that in life.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always motivated. It's just sometimes you get off your routine
Of course.
and you get busy. And that's what I was struggling with when I came into the gym. And we spoke a lot about that. Once I'm in a routine, I'm dedicated, right? I'll accomplish it, I'll hit the goals. It's just once you get out of that routine, again, that's more mental. It was more mental than anything else. And now I'm out of my routine. I'm making excuses why I can't make it to the gym or I can't go running. And you just got to stop that. You got to sit back and say, is this what you really want in life? And like you said, you'll regret it more by not working out. I miss running. I have a legit reason why I stopped running. Not just because being busy, but had a heart issue, and doctor said I didn't recommend you doing it. And listen, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die doing something that I love. I love working out, so might as well get there whether I'm tired or not. That's the way I look at it. I feel better for it anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, on that note, anything else you want to tell the audience about, just something personal about yourself that we don't know besides the violin?
Yeah. That was the big
That
that was the mic
that
drop
was a
for
good one.
today.
Yeah, that was a good one. I can't wait until we get back to the gym.
Oh no, don't do that.
Oh yeah. You think I'm bad, Pat?
I'll break it out and I'll play it for you.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
You still have
That's
it?
what you got to do.
Oh, yeah.
You still have
Oh
it?
my God. You still
Okay.
play?
I
do you?
haven't touched it in a while. It's been a few years now.
But-
The last time I played actually
I can't.
was one of my clients was getting married and she asked me to play while she walked. So I played for
Oh. You know
yeah.
what I'm about to ask.
her. No, that was a long time ago.
Our wedding's next year.
So yeah, anything you want to leave off? Well, we got a couple minutes left.
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of the whole concept that we've been talking about this whole time is just take the risk, go after the thing that you want. I mean, I don't really know where my life would be if I didn't decide to open a gym, and I don't think I would be where I am with it without it, as difficult as it's been.
Totally agree. I don't think we would be where we're at without going through the process we did, whether starting YouTube, TikTok, now doing the podcast, and then of course our nonprofit. We just this year added 2 key members to our board. So we talk about letting people in and your circle bigger. One of the biggest issues Kelly and I had were giving up control sometimes. So, but now we're like, okay, we've given up the control. We brought others in to help us, and now we're growing ourselves. So, yeah, I keep that in mind all the time.
Yeah.
So we're always looking for more help. We have the youth program that we started, and now it's kicking off.
That's great.
Anything, Kelly, that you want?
No, I mean, I agree with Pat. It's just, you have to take the risk because you just never know. You don't want to wonder later on, what would have happened if I did it or that. Just do it. And, you fail, as we said, just fail and learn from it. It's okay to fail. Sometimes we're not, they don't think we should fail. Like life is about all the experiences, the good and the bad. That's what's going to shape us who we are.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Even down to lifting. I never wanted to get into lifting, but I was strong. When I was younger, I lifted that one time and I said, I bet you I could lift 300 pounds, bench 300 pounds. Sure enough, I'm starting to prove that out. So I wouldn't known if I went to the gym, if I didn't go to the gym, especially a powerlifting gym. So I'm glad I met you. I'm glad that you came to the show today. Well, we're going to wrap it up today. And I just want to tell everyone, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you check out Pat's Gym. Again, you want to give them the information?
Infinite Fitness in Bristol, Connecticut.
Okay. And thank you for tuning in with Kelly and Derek on Together We Solve, the Power Couple podcast.
Good night.
I'm your host, Kurt Barwis. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Andrew Lynn.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name's Chuck Wooden.
Decision for ourselves for this week if we want to be made well.
Hi, welcome to the crack of dawn. It's Dawn Lombardi. I'm starting the painting. It's going to be the cliffs with some water. Love it.
He took me on the sets of Lost in Space, Batman.
Everybody has a story. What's yours? Until next time.